Cut down day is upon us. What's happening, Chiefs Kingdom? We are on another episode of Chiefs Focus Live. Got JP, got Caleb. What's up, man?
I'm doing good, man. How are you doing?
I'm here, brother. I'm just kind of
Going.
going crazy, perplexed a little bit. I've had like 64 million calls about all these cuts today, and
Mm-hmm.
um, cuts are waivers, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Um, some of the cuts, you know who they were. They're going to be back on the practice squad. They brought in a guy from the Raiders.
Yep, they did. Trade for him, 6th-round pick.
Yep.
A little surprised we had an interdivisional trade, but it worked out. So it
We
worked out.
hardly ever trade with the Raiders, which is
Exactly.
very
I
weird.
don't think that's probably the first time I've ever seen the Chiefs trade with Raiders. I think in
I don't
division,
remember it.
the
Yeah.
only time I remember a team trading within the division was when the Eagles traded McDonald and McNabb to the Washington Redskins. What they were in, I think, probably 13, 14.
Yeah.
But that's the
Yeah.
only time I've seen an interdivisional trade like that. Everything else has been out of division or out of conference. So when we look at this, I was like, okay, well, obviously the sides can figure something out. Maybe we'll see more of these in the future. But it's kind of crazy when you see those things.
It is. And honestly, I was thinking about some of the players that they cut, or they're going to put on the practice squad, like kind of like, Danny Shelton. Somebody, there's a lot of fans out there that don't like Danny Shelton.
Mm-hmm.
That, whatever the case is, who cares? It's weird that I understand why they did what they did, because they see value in a younger guy.
Mm-hmm.
I put a tweet out today that said, what could this mean? With a couple of eyeballs, and everybody assumed that I thought Chris Jones was going to be back today.
Mm-hmm.
That's really not what it meant. What it really meant is basically, why are they making these moves? Because it sounds like to me, and then I found out later on that he actually is holding out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a terrible situation with him, but there's nothing we can do about it. We just got to kind of move on and roll with what we have.
Yep, that is true. You can only roll with the cards you're dealt with and kind of go ahead. I mean, the Chiefs have a pretty good deck of players. You want to kind of go through all the different things so far?
Yeah,
Some of the
let's do
highlights.
it.
Well,
Let's
the
do it.
first one, 6, what was it? I got to my job about 6, about 7 o'clock. I looked down my phone 20 minutes prior, about 6:30. We see that Smith Marset was traded, which I was honestly a little surprised. I thought the Chiefs were going to get him. He only went for a conditional 7, so I was a little surprised about that. I thought he was lead for like a 6, but the Chiefs were able to get a pick out of him. I would have liked for him to make the roster, but apparently they like the guys that they have. And if I tell you, JP, Twitter just erupted. So this Chiefs shirt I have right now, that's Darth Vader. You don't know the power of the Chiefs. People will have their inner dark side. Mad, pissed off. How are we going to trade this? We're going to keep Justin Watson. We have Amir Smith Marset. There's no way we need to do these different things. And because of that, there was a whole rep war about 7:30. By the time people were waking up seeing that stuff. Me, I was kind of like, I don't like it, but I understand we got to pick back and return, so it is what it is. But that's kind of the big thing. What was your thoughts? I know it was probably about 4:30. Knowing you're up at all hours of the night.
Yeah, I am.
What was your thoughts when you saw that?
Well, it was weird because at first I thought, okay, I was the same as you and everybody else. I assumed that they were going to figure out a way of keeping him.
Mm-hmm.
But then I thought about it, and I thought, okay, this is kind of a way of opening up a roster spot, and then also giving him an opportunity. Because, see, you can have players that are raw, that aren't as talented as he is and ready to jump on the bandwagon that quickly and be able to learn the playbook and to go out and showcase themselves that quickly. Yep. And then you can stash those guys. If you see the talent, you stash them on the practice squad and you say, okay, we got them for a year, no big deal. But I personally like what the Chiefs did because they gave him an opportunity to play this season.
Exactly. That's an important thing right there. That's why I think, and I agree with you there, you only have so much room there. I also believe this. If they brought him in, there are people overshadowing him. But if you look at this situation, like compare it to maybe a Byron Pringle when the Chiefs decided to put him out from that IR for a year, they knew Pringle would be able to step in a small wide receiver room and step up. the room's pretty deep. We know what we got from the guys. They fulfilled the roles and things like that. This also made me think this. Do they believe they can come find him again by trading to a team like the Panthers? He has an opportunity to play. They, yes, gave a 7th. There's a chance he may not be on the roster next year. Are the Chiefs going to circle back with him too? That's another thing I was wondering. So just kind of putting that out there as well. Or will we see him back?
It's happened so many times with us.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, who knows if we don't see him? Maybe it could be next year, it could be the year after, but I could see that absolutely happening. There's probably an 80% chance that will happen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the way Veach operates, I can see that happening. Now, by the way, real quick, I just got a text. It says inside source, 49ers may trade Nick Bosa to an unnamed AOC team. Now, I don't know how reliable this
you
person
got that
is.
from a person from your sources?
Somebody texted to me that was apparently this is on a.
Oh,
let me see who they are.
Is it that JPA football team or whatever they're called?
It says it's really hard to read, but it says something about TDBIT NFL, and then it says Tidbit NFL, and then it says U/Josh_Rosen. Anyway, regardless, I don't believe that that's real yet until I hear it from somebody that's reliable. And I'll find out pretty soon.
Mm-hmm.
But in fact, I just texted to find out. But if what's up, Diz? We got Will, we got Diz, we got Philip. A lot of people in here. I don't know who else is in here, but if you're on here, spit your name out. I mean, who knows if it's true or not? It could be just somebody throwing something to stick, see if it sticks. But I know everybody knows the negotiations broke down between Nick Bosa and San Francisco that happened 2 weeks ago when he said he wasn't going to play. And he made sure that everybody, and the 49ers came out and said that he wasn't going to play. So that's just, when it's time, when it's cut down day and everybody's in the hype of everything, they're going to say things that they think may happen. I guess I should say, especially if you're not in the group of people that should be saying things. But regardless, CJ, it sounds like he is going to hold out a little bit as of right now. They're building a little bit of depth, maybe to fill in for those few weeks that he's out. The one thing I will say, look, man, it's totally up to him what he wants to do. It's putting the Chiefs in a little bit better position to a degree, simply because $1.47 million a game. And then also his franchise tag drops for next year. So if we end up, every player has the right to do what they want to do. I'm not going to fault him. I'm not going to fault anyone for it. They do what they have to do, what they feel is right. Sometimes I feel like agents push their players to do things that maybe they shouldn't do, or they go a little bit too far with it.
Well, someone today said the Kratz brothers were dumb in a couple words or less. I'm paraphrasing, but they said that. I'm like, okay, well.
They got a lot of good players on their agency list, and they've done a pretty good job thus far. I don't know. I mean, I know they're trying to play the Rosenhaus situation, and that's fine. Whatever. It is what it is. There's a couple of great agents in the league that don't really play the ignorant games. Actually, Patrick Mahomes has a very good agent. But and is also, by the way, that's also Jody Fortson's agent, if anybody didn't know that. So Chris is a good agent. He knows what he's doing. But there's, some out there that like to push the envelope. Push it away. You can push all you want. Negotiations start at a certain point. You always start high. Sometimes you work down to a happy medium for both sides.
Yep.
Sometimes when you get somebody that's a little bit more stubborn and he draws a line in the sand, then that can irritate the other side, and then it just becomes kind of a quandary.
Okay.
So you have to just kind of roll with the punches of what you got. Supposedly, now I didn't personally hear he was here this weekend. I did hear he was going to be, and we talked about this on the show last week. I
Yep.
did hear that Chris Jones would be here by midweek. Someone stated that, and there's images of it, so apparently it must be true. An employee at Joe's Barbecue took a picture or a video of Chris Jones and his agents having dinner, or his agents at least having dinner at Casey Joe's.
So they're having conversations, it looks like, if they're here.
Yes. Now, whether they're good, I don't know. Because being given the fact that it's cut down day and they put him on did not report list, that doesn't sound so great. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's not going to happen. It doesn't mean that he can't show up later on. There was a lot of speculation on Twitter. Does that mean he can't play? No, it does not.
He just doesn't count against the 53.
That's it. He doesn't count against the 53 right now. That's basically all that means. If he comes back tomorrow or the next day or the day before week 1, he's going to count against the 53 at some point between week 1 and week 3.
Mm-hmm.
So just know that. I hope he stays. I don't know if he's going to. I really don't. I mean, he's going to have to play at some point this season for the Chiefs.
If you want that big contract with another team, you're going to have to play at a certain point.
It's going to have to play. If he sits out until week 8, again, that's his decision. There's not much you can do about that. But it is what it is. Who's the next one?
The next one that everyone kind of was irritated about, if I look through the whole timeline, we can jump into, let's go and do a happy thing, JP. Let's do Justin Ross,
my boy.
We were talking about that for a while. Obviously, one of our members is not on right now. He's probably somewhere crying, not happy.
Oh, he's cringing right now. He's cringing right now.
Probably not happy. So, but It is what it is. What are your thoughts on Justin Ross, man? I'm happy. I get that you're happy.
Man,
phenomenal.
Look, that kid, I'm so happy. Look, that kid, it's not just the fact that he came back from the injury that he came back from and was able to perform the way he's performed. We knew he was a phenomenal player.
Mm-hmm.
We knew that. I don't care if he didn't play one season because of an injury. I don't care about any of that. What makes me happy is the fact, and what we knew, we talked about this when we signed him. If anybody remembers last year, we signed him on a contract while he was injured and didn't really know how his neck injury was going to turn out.
Mm-hmm.
That's how much faith they had in that kid.
Mm-hmm.
After watching all of his highlight film last year from college and then watching what he did in this preseason, taking the hits, making the catches, doing everything that he is going to be his own highlight reel this year. I promise you at the end of the season, he's going to be a highlight reel.
Yep.
He's going to move up on that depth chart, and he's going to do phenomenal things for this team. Patrick Mahomes has faith in him, so I absolutely have faith in him. It's that simple. What do you think?
I was happy. I mean, I've told everyone months ago he was going to make the roster. I mean, just off of pure talent alone, there's no reason. If you cut him, he's going to be gone on waivers. He's making this roster, or he's going to be put on injury IR like they did last year. I mean, no case in point to it.
Yeah,
he's shown he can play. I can't wait what he's going to see, what he's going to be able to do. I hope they throw him out there early and get his feet wet. I don't want to see him do a bunch of meaningless special team snaps. You need to let him go out there and play. Yeah. Because special teams where he could get hurt. And I understand the Chiefs like to put rookies on special teams. There comes a point in a time where it's like sometimes you should not do that. And I think with Justin Ross, he has a good chance of catching his first touchdown pass next Thursday night, if all goes well. He has a very good chance. I know other individuals thought he wasn't going to make it because of all the injuries. I just knew when looking at this guy and how much the Chiefs paid him and knew the buzz we were getting for last season and this season, he would make the roster. There was no reason why he should not. There's no reason why he should not make the roster, and he made it. So,
yeah, I agree. He's a beast. He's one of the best route runners in football. Mm-hmm. People can say what they want. That guy is a phenomenal route runner. He's
go ahead.
He's like Devontae Adams 2.0. I mean, I'm sorry, but he is. He's good.
Well, I will tell you this: he is a route runner that the Chiefs drafted. We can show they're going to do immediate impact. I know we got Cornell Powell, didn't work out. Sky Moore, he did some stuff, but I believe Justin Ross could be that guy where he just goes takes the top off the can and just runs with it. Runs with it.
That's him. That's going to be him. Who's now? Okay, well, Philip brought one up, so we might as well address that really quick. I'm not happy with that one either. But I do. Now, he wasn't wavered. He was cut. So I'm pretty sure he's going to end up being back on the practice squad.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think that's important because the Chiefs already loaded at cornerback. In the event we're very loaded. In the event someone gets hurt, they'll just elevate them up. And I wouldn't be surprised throughout the season where they just do the elevation from practice squad to active roster. The way the Chiefs have always done stuff. There's always that time where they do stuff, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen there. He showed a lot of potential. I think it's going to work out. On any other team, he probably would have made it, but since our cornerback room is extremely deep, it will have to just be elevated.
Yeah. Text just came through. So don't read too much into that one. LOL. Yeah. That's what that said. And that's the Joey Bosa situation.
Don't read too much into it. I think there are suitors talking.
I'm sure there are, but there's just like there was people, inquiring about Chris Jones. It doesn't mean that the trade's going to happen. It just means that people are inquiring. Of course, they're going to inquire when you got one of the top players in the league. What's up, Chiefs Live? And they're in a disgruntled situation. Of course, they're going to inquire. Who wouldn't? That'd be stupid. If you're a terrible GM and a terrible organization if you didn't ask. So, but he just said don't read into the specifics of that one.
Well, that makes me think there's a chance. Yeah. Like anything, there's always a chance.
I would not. If anybody's thinking it was us,
I don't. Well,
maybe it wouldn't hurt my feelings, but again, he's very injury prone.
That's my only concern. That's my only concern with that there.
I'm getting blown up. Go ahead.
You're good. The next person, I guess we could talk about. Shelton and Deion Bush were released by Chiefs. So you put out a tweet, Danny Shelton and Deion Bush were released by the Chiefs. The Danny Shelton release can only mean one thing. So you already talked about that, but I'll be honest with you. I thought Danny Shelton was going to make the roster. He showed me enough. Maybe he's going to be a person that they bring back in from practice squad elevation. But I think when you look at it, they're believing Christian will be back. But if he makes a practice squad, he's going to be elevated because we don't really have anyone else.
Yeah, look, Chris Jones is going to come back. It's not a matter of if, it's when. So, if anything, if they do add to the D-line, I think it's going to be Carlos Dunlap.
Okay, well, they got to free up some money.
Well, they freed up some today.
Yeah, a little bit.
It wasn't a ton, but it was some, and they can move some money around to pick him up. He's not going to require what he required last year. So, if it was me, I would definitely. I still believe Carlos Dunlap's going to end up on this football team.
Exactly. I think there's a very good chance that could happen. That's going to be good as well. But I also know at the end of the day, if he doesn't, and to some reason they don't bring someone in, they're going to have to figure out in-house who can step up. So it may be rough there for a little bit. But let's hope it doesn't. Let's hope it doesn't get to that point. So
I agree. I want to address this really quick. Philip's right. Rashee Rice had 4 drops in his rookie preseason and preseason play. Jamar Chase had 4 drops in his rookie preseason. And you know who else had a lot of drops? And not only in the preseason, but in the regular season, their first year, Devontae Adams.
Okay.
So anybody that wants to sit and bitch about one drop pass that it would have been hard for a lot of wide receivers to catch, don't complain too much.
I will also add this, JP. A lot of people were making fun of Jamar Chase because he's saying he was having difficulties catching the ball because they were different. In college, there's like a white seam on the ball. Yeah. In NFL, there's not. So when he made that comment, everyone was making fun of him, and he went out and had one of the greatest regular seasons. So players in game time, figure it out.
Exactly.
Preseason practice, they're just there figuring things out. They'll be fine once the regular season hits. So I'm not worried about Rashee Rice.
Yeah, somebody, I don't know who this was. At first, I actually thought it was the Denver Broncos account, and I thought, "Wow, they are really going."
Well,
the
they have no room
Bengals
to talk.
way.
They have.
Did you see that post?
Yeah. It's like,
saying
win more than 5 games.
Yeah, please.
Do some things.
I just told him flat out, "Thank you for the cold take for the end of the season," because that's exactly what that was. That was a cold take to slam. Basically, if anybody didn't see it, it said, "Looks like the Chiefs has a bust on their hands," and it was a video of Rashee Rice dropping that pass.
Mm-hmm.
Hey man, I don't know who on your team caught anything last year for more than like 6 yards. So
yeah,
But anyway, moving on. Who's next?
I'm looking at the list right now. So also we'll talk about a player that didn't make the roster. We were kind of surprised. CEH. I thought he was gonna be gone. I wanted someone like Lamike P. Ryan, New York Prince to be there. They both got, I think, cut or waived, and they could be basically on the practice squad. I thought CH was going to be traded at least for a 7th rounder. That is a little concerning. They couldn't get a deal done today, or if they don't know if they tried.
They tried.
I don't know what's going to happen. Do you just let them write out the contract and let it be? But I still feel like at the end of the day, you need to get some guys that are playmakers. I mean, I like CH, and I think he's a good player, but when it comes to the Chiefs' offense and fitment, it's not working. It's just not working. If you guys have guys like Lamike P. Ryan, Danae Pierce showing up and showing out, I believe they deserve a roster spot. And then you have it to where you're Lamike, what's his last name? Lamike, I just said his name. Sorry, Lamike P. Ryan. And then
now, he was actually cut and is probably going to come back on the practice squad.
And Prince, I feel like that's who you alternate who's going to come up and who's going to go down. Yeah. But you have CH still there. So I don't know. Maybe a team will take him, but I feel like they're just going to let CH kind of ride things out. They may showcase him, and then when he gets hurt, just kind of move him back to the line and figure it out from there. That's what I felt they're going to have to do eventually.
I think what's going to happen with P. Ryan is he's going to go back to the practice squad, and I feel like they're going to groom him to take over CEH's spot.
Well, I said on the past couple podcasts, he's McKinnon 2.0.
He is.
He's McKinnon 2.0.
He really is.
He's his replacement. If he stays on this team, especially the practice squad, he's McKinnon 2.0.
Yeah. So I don't see CEH lasting through the season with us. I could be completely wrong, but they've tried too many times in the past to trade him. It didn't work out. I feel like maybe the reason why they did hang on to him is just simply because he knows the system and he's going to be a third down back. So
you give that to McKinnon. You don't give it to CH at this point. McKinnon and Pacheco.
Yeah, I meant third back. So he's going to be the third back, not third down back, but third back.
That's fair.
So if you need him in a pinch, he's there. And again, things can change between now and week 1. So we'll just have to see how it rides out. I know everybody was really high on P. Ryan, and not just within the Chiefs Kingdom, but other teams. Mm-hmm. So we'll have to see how that works out.
Yeah.
Am I wrong that they can go directly to the practice squad when they're rookies? Because I was told, or is it's just vets that have to clear the waiver wire, right?
So I'm pretty sure how it works is that tomorrow there's going to be a process with all the players. You can kind of pick where you want depending on the waiver wire, and then you can sign them to the practice squad, and then you can elevate them. I think that's how it pretty much works.
Okay. Because I knew there was some that had to clear a waiver wire and some didn't. And
I think pretty much everyone has to be a part of the waiver wire, and what we're going to have is that then you can, okay, this is what I want, this is what I want, and then you put them on the practice squad, and then if let's say they're a veteran, then you can activate them. So an example would be, I forgot where, but let's say this happened for others, but an example could be Melvin Gore. They brought him in, they put him on our practice squad, then they moved him to the active roster. That's happened with many other teams. That's just an example. That did not happen, but that's just an example where you get moved up. You're not taking that roster spot right now. So
yeah. Well, we'll have to see how that works out. I'm hoping. I'm pretty sure P. Ryan's going to be back on the practice squad. I
think
see
so.
That not happening. So, and I'm sure we'll hear that within 24 hours. So,
yeah, Bob, this time tomorrow, the practice squad. There's a good chance. I believe they're going to be set.
Yeah,
for the most part.
Yeah. So Philip said after these cuts, we should have about 8.56 million.
Well, then there we go. We can make 2 moves right there. 3 at the most, but 2 moves. Get some guys in.
Absolutely. I know they brought one guy in, but he's not costing anything. There's nothing major.
Yeah, that trade with the guy from the Raiders.
Yeah. And at first, I was thinking to myself, okay, why did they do that? because he didn't play that well. But then again, I forgot that he played for the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, they're not great at elevating anyway.
No, that's the Raiders.
So it's the Raiders. So I mean, hey, he is a younger player than Danny Shelton. He seems to have a little bit more upside to him as far as age is concerned. I don't know how his play is. I guess he has a pretty good run stuffer.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll just have to see.
Yeah.
They just want depth at that position. They know they're going to need it right now.
Yeah.
And that just tells you that Chris Jones is probably going to hold out for a few weeks. If he has a change of heart and decides to come back prior to week 1, great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's fantastic, but we'll have to see. But who's the next one?
The next person on the list that got cut that I was a little bit surprised. Well, I was kind of surprised that we still had some of our tight ends on the roster as well. I know some of the, not saying no names, but some of the guys we don't know about made it. I was kind of hoping they would do things such as move some stuff around, but they're going to run with 3 tight ends, it looks like. Again, still. So Blake Bell, Noah Gray, and Kelsey. Running backs, obviously they took 3 instead of 4. Wide receivers, they took 6. No changes there. Cornell Powell's not on the roster anymore, it looks like, again. So at this point, there really was no surprises. If I can think of any other position, I think some of the guys that were really fighting for spots on the back end, like the linebacker group, I think like Cam Jones, I think from Harvard, made it over coaching from, I think, Iowa or Iowa State.
Yeah.
So that was something there, if I'm getting the names correct. There really wasn't surprises, but there was also some moves like, they're playing chess, not checkers. So.
Yeah. Real quick question, off topic. Have you ever eaten Zarda barbecue?
I have not. I've heard some things about it. Some people say it's good. Some people say it's not. Which you know.
Okay. I've eaten there. It's not the greatest. It's not the worst barbecue I've ever had.
It'll fill you up. It'll taste decent.
Their sauce isn't what is like not for my taste, but Legarius Sneed is doing a campaign which I value what he's doing. He's actually raising money for kids in Kansas City, and I think that's awesome that he's doing that. And he's doing that with Zarda Barbecue. Apparently there was a comment made today to him, and he told them, I think he told them to shut up, nerd, try to entertain the little kids or the little boys.
I think I know what talking about. He was saying something to the extent of, I'm doing this for the kids, stop being weird.
Yeah, don't weirdo. He called him a weirdo.
Someone made the comment saying they were trying to be funny, but they were basically said, you can't be eating that barbecue. You need to eat fruits and vegetables. You can be nice and strong.
Nice and healthy or something. Yeah,
something like that. Like he was like, stop being weird.
Yeah, he said, I'm doing this for the kids, weirdo, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
I thought it was pretty funny. We don't ever have to worry about that because players like us. But anyway, it was just an off-topic question because people were bringing up a lot of barbecue stuff after that comment.
I want some barbecue now.
Me too.
I really would.
Man, where I live, we don't, dude.
You don't have nothing good. I got the best thing is wings.
Wings are good. I mean,
that's what I would want, honestly. That's what I've been craving for all week is some wings.
We got B-Dub and we got you got
Wingstop out there?
We got Wingstop, and then we got a new place.
What's it called?
Man, it's sad because it's not even like 5 minutes from my house.
Is it any good?
I haven't been there, but everybody that's been there has lost their minds over it.
Okay.
Said it puts B-Dub and it puts Wingstop to shame. We will see because I will be testing them out.
I personally like Wingstop. I mean,
yeah, I like Wingstop.
B-Dubs, I'm like, it's okay. I don't know.
Yeah,
as long as it tastes decent, it's good with me. So
I just don't like wings when they're raw inside, and that drives me crazy.
Cooked all the way, yeah. You have to.
I want them cooked.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong. You got to. I mean, it's kind of. I think that's important because number one, you don't want to get any sicknesses, disease, or worms in your brain.
Yeah,
that's not fun. And number two, that's why when it comes to steaks, I don't be going all bloody. I have to do medium well.
Yeah, that's
how well done is too tough. I can't do all that blood. I mean, I don't know, but I don't know. I mean, there's some good things out there. My hope is the Chiefs have it to where their food prices are better like Atlanta, but that will never happen, unfortunately, because I can
Well,
go
their
to
food
Atlanta
prices
game.
are like, their
Bro,
food prices.
Atlanta's you can put $20 and actually eat. You're
Yeah,
not
but that's because
paying.
they're charging their players to eat breakfast and lunch and shit at the stadium.
Atlanta does that. There's no way Atlanta does that.
Yeah, man. So did
They
Arizona.
Arizona, but there's no way Atlanta's doing that.
I
There's
heard they
just no
did.
way.
Let's see, Neil Reed. He's so proud of that. Jay Ross is now a chief.
Yep.
Absolutely, bro. I'm happy. We're all happy. I mean, Ari made a comment about that today, and I was like, man, it was a perfect story. We all knew he was going to make it because he's that guy. He is that guy. So, so there wasn't any real surprises. The whole CJ thing, we're just going to have to let it ride out and see what happens.
Just wait. I mean, yeah, there's really nothing we can do at the end of the day.
But the one thing we know we have not, whether it means something to you people or not, it means something to me. Out of every football team, every game in the NFL this year, the Chiefs had the highest scoring offense, the most yards, receiving and rushing in the NFL during preseason through 4 quarters of play, all 3 games.
Yeah, about to say, all quarterbacks were cooking.
Yep. So that makes me happy. Did what happened to Chris? I didn't get to see what happened to that Chris. How do you pronounce his last name? The quarterback. Duncan.
Okay, Duncan. He did pretty good. He had a couple good drives.
No. I mean, is he still with us, or did he get put on the practice
I
squad?
think he got cut, and he's going to be on waivers. I'm pretty sure. I don't think he initially made the 53.
Okay. Well, did he go waivers, or did he just get cut?
I can look that up for you. I'll give me a couple seconds.
I didn't get to see. Now, Shane Buechele.
He got cut. I wasn't surprised. I mean, it makes sense at the end of the day. I mean, he's a guy they're going to keep just in case. He's going to be probably another practice squad protection because they see a lot in him. We also feel like, too, if they find someone better, they're probably going to move on from him, or he could be a trade piece.
So, I think Chris is
better. But I found
him.
the tweet, Chiefs released quarterback Shane Buechele and Chris Oladokin per league sources. So basically, all you have is Gabbert on the roster with Mahomes. So
they're going to bring one of those 2 guys back.
But here's the thing: I'm pretty sure the new rule is that you can elevate a 3rd guy, and they won't count against your 53 if you need.
It's absolutely true.
So it's a win-win because you can extra position somewhere else, but you can let like a Michelle get activated if you want, or Oladuck can get activated. So it is a win-win there. That one I'm not concerned about.
I hope it's Duncan. I like him. I think he's a better player. I think he's got a really high football IQ. He's grasped the game well. He keeps himself grounded during the game, and he's very mobile. What's up, Danny? How you doing, man?
Hey, Danny, how are you doing?
I like that kid, and I was kind of hoping that he would actually end up being that 3rd quarterback that ends up on the practice squad. I hope, and I'm hoping that's who they bring back. I think he picked it up very quickly, and he just has so many different aspects to his game that remind me of other great players. I mean, he had a little bit of Mahomes in him to a degree. Don't everybody lose their mind over that. But he's got some Michael Vick in him. He's got a little bit of Lamar Jackson in him. He's got a great arm. He's got good pocket presence.
He's an all-around quarterback that you feel like if you can get him under the right tutelage with the Chiefs for a season or 2, he might be able to be a good backup.
Absolutely. I could see him being that backup.
I know Michelle, but I feel like there's limitations what he can and can't do.
Yeah.
I feel like we saw that in that last preseason game. Granted, not everything was his fault. One interception was on him. The other one was not his fault. So there's give and take. But I also feel like they're going to figure out someone they're going to keep to elevate eventually. Yeah. And it's going to be one of those things where it's going to be continue to maybe not draft a guy, but bring someone in over time. So.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I feel like I said, I don't know about Clyde. I don't know if he's going to be here forever. But
this is his last year, if anything. Much as if he gets traded or he stays, this is the last year.
Let me see something. I can't see what. Let me see. Danny just asked a question. He said, "So is it time for Chief Chris Jones to come back now?"
I wish I had a crystal ball to tell you, man. It's just going to be we're going to be waiting at this point.
Yeah, that is a tough question, bro. I mean, it's one of those things that everybody's being a little bit stubborn right now, and they're each side is wanting what they want, and it's going to have to hopefully work itself out. At some point, he's going to have to come back. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I guess he doesn't have to necessarily come back, but it's a real detriment to his career if he doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So the one thing, I was talking to a guy today about this, and I said, if he waited until week 8 and showed up week 8, he's not going to play until week 10.
Yeah, and I feel like at that point, the relationship specific with a team is probably not a good spot as well. I mean, I know they're not talking about it, but I feel like if you start to sit down during the season and the Chiefs start struggling, there's going to be some animosity. And I'm not saying Mahomes or Kelsey would be the one to say it, but someone might be the one to say it besides those two. Just saying.
Yeah.
As much as it sucks, eventually, and I don't always advocate for this, but sometimes you need some pressure where someone just says how they feel.
Yeah.
I mean, that's eventually you don't know unless you don't know. And sometimes, I mean, I am surprised the Chiefs I kept on the wraps because normally you hear something by now players saying, well, we're all here. Why can't you come? The teams were operating in good faith. But that's on teams with dysfunction. So the Chiefs have done a good job, and they've probably been told don't comment on people's contracts and things like that. The only time we see maybe comments is saying, oh, he got this, good for him, or he should get it, things like that. Nothing really crazy or too crazy like that.
I agree. He said, I feel like at that point the Chiefs fans will literally boo him, and they may. And I don't think that's right either.
Well, I will tell you this, JP. Every day he continues to put out a cryptic tweet, and some fans say become an all-pro tweeter, you're turning the kingdom against you. Because a lot of people I know who know I'm big into football, they ask me, what's up with Chris Jones? I said, I don't really know. And they're like, I want him gone. That's people that I really don't talk too much. That's what the word's like. I want him gone. The fan base is turning against him.
And you know what?
And as much as it sucks, and I understand both sides, but also I feel like, too, you're under contract for another year. You're making $30 million, and I know they didn't have an injury clause in there, so that is a little concerning for him, which I don't know why he didn't sign it without one. But, I don't know. It's a tough two-way street with this. Tough two-way.
Well, I'll break it down like I did to a guy earlier that was asking me about it. And here's how I look at it from my perspective. So there's an $8 million gap between Aaron Donald and number 2, which is Quinnen Williams. Now, Quinnen Williams is $24 million. With incentives, he can get close to 26. Okay, that's fine, whatever. He's not going to reach every incentive. That's why the incentive base is there the way it is. But with that kind of a gap, it's extremely difficult to gauge a market, okay, to market a player. Because everyone knows that Aaron Donald was grossly overpaid, especially at the age that he was at. That was done out of pure desperation. And, when you're a football team and you don't have anyone left on your defense, and the one guy that you have left because you just went to the Super Bowl and won it decides he wants to retire, you freak out and then you pay him everything. Well, some teams do, I should say. And then they end up falling apart, which he did last year. His age is showing up. He got injured. He had 5 sacks. He wasn't the player that he was the year before or any year during his NFL tenure. The whole thing with Jones is that you have to weigh it from both perspectives. I understand where he's coming from. I understand where the team's coming from. But it's very difficult to gauge a market that's got that big of a gap.
Exactly.
And that's where, when I say one team and one decision for one player can completely screw the rest of the NFL, that's what the Rams did.
And again, you can't. I just like sometimes the Chiefs should jump in front of some of these issues, but they're smart. They're not going to over jump to do a deal because then they'll say maybe Quentin Williams will get more. And agents do this all the time. They push for the highest number, so their guy can get the highest number. I mean, we all knew. Example, Christian Kirk wasn't worth that 4-year, $68 million. That just exploded the market. Just exploded it. But the Chiefs were smart. They didn't reset the market. Now the Devontae Adams deal did because I believe when you look at contracts per position, there's echelons, 3 layers. You have the lower tier guys will make this much in an area. You have the medium tier will make so much, and then the top tier. So that Christian Kirk thing, that's more of a second, third tier. But that Devontae Adams deal, that puts in another thing, another belief system. So
It's just another level. It's
yeah.
And that's what changes the market. If anybody ever notices with football, there's always a position group, skill position group that always has a year or two that they're top dollar.
Mm-hmm.
Wide receivers jump up and down a lot.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that hasn't jumped up and down a lot is defensive line. When you've got great defensive edge players, they get paid. Your Ds get paid very well. Great defensive tackles get paid a little less, but they're really good.
Mm-hmm.
We have to look at it from both perspectives, and we have to just realize that we're not paying that man. It's not our decision to do that. I want to address something that was said in a DM chat group. I'm going to say this again for anybody that wasn't listening the last time. This is not Clark Hunt's decision. So for anyone to blame Clark Hunt and say he's cheap, you don't know football. And you definitely don't know this football team.
Well, this isn't soccer, and I don't mean to interrupt you, JP, but an owner is going to throw how much money. Now, there's some parameters, but it's more loose and fluid. Compared to football, they say this is the amount, this is the amount. But in soccer, or in baseball, there's no salary cap, so you can pretty much do whatever you want. I mean, there's something fictional, but you really don't have to worry about that stuff. Same thing kind of with basketball a little bit. So you're complaining about the owner. Yeah, it'd be nice if he probably wish he could throw in an extra $300 million for a salary cap. The Chiefs probably be dogging some teams, they're destroying them. But because everyone's in the parameters that keep everything fairly equal, say air quotes, because again, this salary cap is a fictitious number. That's just not how things work. You have to work within parameters.
It's not. And also, look, if Clark Hunt wanted to be the GM of the team, he would be. If Clark Hunt knew that he could actually be the GM of the team, he would be. Now, if he wanted to be Jerry Jones, he'd be Jerry Jones. But that's the difference between Clark Hunt and other owners / GMs / presidents. Yep. Clark Hunt has a president. He has a GM. He has the best head coach in football. You leave the numbers, the players, and the salary cap up to them. Your job is to make sure the team is operational, fluid, and if you need to write a check for a roster bonus or a bonus structure, you can absolutely do that because that's your job, and that doesn't go against the cap. So why not just leave it at that? I mean, it's people just make it such a big ordeal about everything. It's always somebody else's fault. Look, man, there's two sides to every story. We don't know either side at this point. I mean, we know some of it. We don't know all of it. But there's no point in speculating on something that you really don't know. You've got people out there, just like everybody that said, I mean, honest to God, I remember this so vividly. So I got a call one day that said, guy tells me, man, Tony's really coming along strong. You know who called me. And he's probably going to be ready by week 1. And I said that on the show. We talked about it on the show. Not the next day, somebody on Twitter came out and said he's going on the IR. And then 10 minutes after that, Ian Rappaport said he's not going on the IR. And then today, I think it was Tom Pelissero, said that looks like he's going to be ready by week 1.
Yeah.
So you can't base everything off of what someone thinks they know. They actually have to know. It's been a weird year for everybody when it comes to this whole situation with Chris Jones and everything. The other thing that was brought up today to me is something that Thiz actually said, and he's right. You got a quarterback that is being paid $20 million less than other quarterbacks in this league that are nowhere near as good as him. But yet you got a defensive player that wants to be paid more than everybody else.
JP, that's what I've been saying. how do I say this the most nicest way as possible? Mahomes has taken the Tom Brady's approach. As much as I dislike Tom Brady, he was right about one thing. If you want to win, you can't take the crazy amount of money. Mahomes is doing the right thing. But when it comes to Chris Jones, it's like he thinks he's on the upper echelon, different level. I like Chris Jones, but is this a team effort or is it about you?
Yeah.
I think that's a great point, Viz, and maybe we need to discuss that, have a whole show or dedicate something to that, because that brings up a great point. If the Super Bowl MVP, two-time Super Bowl MVP, multiple all-time All-Pro MVP, all that stuff, can take less money, why can't our top defensive tackle player, who you can say is just now kind of came into his own and had a great playoff run, finally got the playoff sack after 8 to 9 seasons, why does he deserve that much money? That's a great question. That is. I mean, I don't think Chris Jones is a bad person, but when you look at football as a whole, the Chiefs can only go to so much X amount of dollars. And I told you guys this, the defensive tackle list group, what comes out next year, is going to be loaded. It's a pretty good group. So if we lose Chris Jones, I'm not really crying, but I do believe it's a great point to see if Mahomes, and this is the same thing I was kind of surprised Mahomes never said something. If I can sacrifice and restructure, why can't you? Why can't you?
Yeah.
I'm sacrificing and I'm throwing touchdowns and doing things. I'm having the offense score, but you over here, you could say, has underperforming playoffs. And since you're underperforming playoffs, I'm over here trying to save you when you do things such as hold guys and then release them by accident, or get hurt playing basketball. I'm just saying, and maybe I'm a little too harsh on that point, but I do believe that's a great point. Why haven't we had this conversation? And I think once that gets the ball rolling, more people are going to dislike Chris Jones even more.
And that sucks because I don't want to be, the Philadelphia Eagles fan base. We already have
wants
enough
to
of
be that, but I think it's a great point though.
It is. It is.
If you could type out your thought in the chat, I would appreciate. If you're still here, I know you're running back and forth between work, but I haven't thought about that way. But from what I've been thinking, and that it makes totally perfect sense. If you're MVP quarterback with all these accolades, let's say this long of accolades, can figure things out. Why can't you with this amount of accolades?
You got a tight end that's doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm. So
when you really think about it. Travis Kelce could be paid a hell of a lot more
exactly. Money. And that's another thing. Kelce could be getting this much money, but he's like, I'll take this.
Yeah.
So again, I'm just saying out there, I'm not saying Chris Jones is greedy, but that is a great point. If you're 2 years of offense that are scoring, getting you guys on points, putting you ahead. Because I will
keeping you fresh.
Keep fresh. Because I feel like sometimes, and that may be, again, this may be a little harsh, Chris Jones sometimes has been underperforming at times, taking plays off, things like that. And yes, obviously there's different positions between the tight end and the quarterback, but also if you're the captain of the defense, you got to make sure you're ready to go at all times.
Yeah, and the thing is, look, I get it. I fully understand Chris Jones, and I'm not going to say it's Chris Jones's perspective. I'm going to say he's got a set of agents that are working very hard to get him as much money as they can possibly get him. I don't know. Now, look, man, we don't know what's being relayed to Chris Jones.
And that's another thing, too. Agents sometimes they only tell you stuff you want to hear.
Exactly.
And we've seen that. That's kind of why Lamar Jackson's whole situation, because his mom was his agent. Agents are supposed to act as that buffer.
And a lot of times agents want more money.
And sometimes that's good, and sometimes that's not good.
Absolutely. So you don't know. None of us know what Chris Jones's agents are actually, if they're giving him 100% of what's being said, or if they're giving him 80% of what's being said, or if they're giving him 90%. We don't know.
Exactly.
I'm not saying the Katz brothers are bad people. I don't know them. So I can't say that they're bad or good or indifferent. I can't say anything about it. But all I can say is that agents are put in place to do a specific job. Some of them try a little too hard. Sometimes it pushes buttons the wrong way. Sometimes it makes the player look like the bad guy. And a lot of times, just for everybody to know, agents can have it in their contract with a player that no matter what I try to work out for you, that's the deal. And that's how it is going to be. And you can't interfere. You can't come and say this. You can't do that. So your hands are kind of tied. And We've seen it before with other players. The one thing I could say is like Tyreek Hill didn't have that with Drew Rosenhaus the first go around because he almost fired Drew Rosenhaus.
Yep, that's true. That is true.
So, when Drew told the Chiefs, no, we're not taking that contract, Tyreek said, yes, I am. He
Mm-hmm.
argued with him. He said, okay, I'll find me a new agent. So, it really, you just can't put it all on Chris Jones. I know people want to do that, and I know people think
But
that maybe it's all him, but sometimes they're not in the negotiations. They're not in the room.
But isn't that a good, interesting point, though, JP? If your leader that's doing all this stuff can do this, why can't you? Are you saying you're above the team?
Well, that is a good point. But I guess my only rebuttal to that is, and I'm not saying he's wrong by any means. That's why I brought it up. I just think that there's times that maybe the player himself, because he's not in the room speaking on his behalf, or while someone's speaking on his behalf, he may not know the whole situation. So maybe he doesn't know every single word that's said. Maybe he's being told other things or something that just to trigger him a little bit. And that may be why he's doing what he's doing. We don't know. I know for a fact, I know agents. I've known how they've operated for 34 years. Some of them are a little shady when it comes to stuff like that. I'm not saying his agents are, but some are. So, and they say they do it for the player protection. Only doing it for you. That's bullshit. They're doing it for them because the more money the player gets, they get paid off the total contract. That's what they're getting their 3% on. So, I don't know, dude. I guess my whole thing with that whole, booing him, all that, I just don't want us. We already have enough of that in Chiefs Kingdom with the fanatics that showed up in 2018 when Patrick Mahomes, became a quarterback. We don't need to be the Philadelphia Eagles. We don't need to beat the shit out of the mascot or throw a beer at him or hit him with a baseball bat. We don't need to burn down the city.
Yeah.
We just need to realize that this is a business, and this is just how this business operates. We can't control it. Only they can control it. So I'm not going to hate on Chris Jones in any way because I feel like he's doing whether he knows it or not, he's doing what's best for him right now. Whether it is best for him, in his mind, he thinks it is. So if that's what he wants to do, hey, we got to let him do what he wants to do. But we can't be mad at him and call him names and do all this shit that's going on
Yeah,
Twitter.
you shouldn't do all that.
No,
you can have
because he's been here for 8 years. He's done a hell of a job for us for the last 4 solid years. And yes, this is the first year he got his playoff sacks, but I want people to realize too that there was a long time that Chris had no help. And we talked about this on the show. I know I did prior, and we've done it since we've been on this show together. There's been times that Chris had zero help. I mean, he had Frank Clark. And you can't expect one guy or two guys to run an entire defensive line and make the entire thing work. They're not the only two players that can be there now. They can help guide, but they can't control the entire defensive line.
Yep.
So, if you got a 4-man front or a 5-man front, whatever the case may be, you can't have two guys going against it. You got 7 guys against 5 guys. You can't have it. It just doesn't work out in those numbers. So he finally had, and then also, we can't forget that he's got the best defensive line coach in football now. There's nobody better than Joe Cullen. I'm sorry, but people can say what they want. There's nobody better than him. That bolstered all the other players. The fact that we brought in a great player with Karlaftis, that was phenomenal. Frank Clark had a really good year. Everybody had a better year last year than they did years prior because we have a great defensive line coach. So there's so many different factors that fall into this that we just can't put it all off on one person because it's not just one person. There's a lot of people involved when it comes to negotiations. There's agents, there's owners. I mean, not owners, but there's coaches, there's GMs, there's scouts, there's all these people that get involved in it. And then you got people on the outside in your ear all the time. So you know what, man? Whatever happens, happens. It's going to be whatever he ultimately decides to do. And at the end of the day, he has to make the decision for himself if he's able to, and I'm pretty positive he is. But we just don't know yet. Like I
Yeah,
said, we don't
yeah.
know what he's being told, and we have to give him that respect. So he gave us 8 good years so far, so we have to give him 8 good months of respect. It's all I can say at this point. And so
Now, will
far,
your tune change if he doesn't report till week 8?
no, it won't. It really
Okay.
won't. I mean, I look. The only reason I'm saying that is because, again,
What if he
he's
starts tweeting stuff saying that
if
Veach is
he
a
gets stupid,
liar?
yeah, if he gets
Okay,
stupid or something, that's a different story. But I
okay,
don't think he's going to do that. I don't think Chris has that in him to start tweeting out and lashing
dumb
out at
stuff.
people. He's not going to pull a levy on him and do that kind of. I just don't think that's him.
Mm-hmm.
If he did, then okay, maybe I wouldn't be so happy with him. I'm still not happy with the situation, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
not mad at him for it. I mean, that I guess that's where the difference is with me is I'm not mad at Chris for this situation. I'm frustrated with the whole situation, but I'm not mad at him particularly. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not putting it all on him.
Okay,
If it
gotcha.
was just him and the Chiefs talking, and we had a microphone and we can hear, or and an earpiece and we can hear everything that was going on in that room,
Mm-hmm.
okay, then I'd be upset.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
want to answer Neil real quick. The numbers have changed from what I understand 2 or 3 times now. I don't know how far apart they are right now. At one point, I heard they were about $5 million apart on guaranteed money. That was 3 4 weeks ago. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know where it's at right now, to be honest with you. I really don't. Um, I know guaranteed money has a big part in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's because look, Chris knows just like everybody else does. Yeah, you can say you make 30 million a year, but you're not making 30 million because that fourth year is always an out, or that fifth year is always an out. So for the team, not for you, and he
Mm-hmm.
knows that, and his agent should know that by now. They've been around long enough. They've got enough players under their belt. They should know that by now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if when it all boils down to it, if they offered him $22 million a year and guaranteed him $75 million of it, he'd be okay with that.
Okay. Okay.
That's just how I think. This could 75 million is a hell of a lot better than a $30 million
Yeah,
contract with
that's
a
fair.
$40 million guarantee, and you're only making when it all boils down after agent taxes and everything else, you're making 18. So I just feel like that's more of a better situation for him. At his age, last long term contract, that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of what you want. You want to go for the gusto. That's
Mm-hmm.
just how I feel
Yeah,
about it.
that's fair.
Anyway, real quick, if you guys are on Twitter, check out our pinned tweet. If you do not know what that is, I will tell you. I can say it now because it's official. Patrick Mahomes and an NFT company have come together and they have decided to make a. Patrick Mahomes owns basically his own trading card business, but it's an NFT digital playing card that you can basically hold in your hand.
Hmm.
It's one of the coolest things that you'd probably ever see. I will say that we are giving away 10 of them right now. We're exclusive with Patrick. We're the only ones giving these away with Patrick Mahomes and the Museum of Mahomes. We're the only people that are giving these away, and I would suggest you go on there, retweet it, tag 2 friends. I think it's 2 friends,
Three,
or
three.
three
You put
friends.
three. Tweet.
Yeah, tag 3 friends and retweet it and like it because when it does end, we're going to pick the people that did it right, and we're going to give away 10 of these, and somebody's going to get one. I am not going to release too much information about certain particulars of it because I was asked not to. But uh, this is one of the coolest things that you can get your hands on. It's probably one of the most collectible things you'll ever get your hands on. And if you happen to end up with a signed one, I don't know what to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
You got a gold mine in your hand.
Yeah,
That's what I can say.
I agree to
But
that.
it's very humbling that we were asked to be the exclusive to do this for the Museum of Mahomes and Patrick Mahomes' project, and we're going to do our best to represent it. So get your hands on it. We're going to have an article that comes out about it pretty soon, explaining exactly what it is, because we were asked that a lot of people don't understand what it is. We're going to have an article that comes out that explains everything about what it is. We're going to put it out on Twitter. That way everyone understands what it is, and then you can join. But I will tell you that it's something that I wish I could get my hands on right now.
Yeah.
And one of the coolest things that I've seen in a long time. So make sure you guys go on there, retweet it, tag 3 people, like and retweet it, follow Museum of Mahomes and us, and you will be very happy if you end up with one of these in your hands. This is the first time that we've been able to give 10 from a sponsorship or a collaboration, I should say, 10 of anything away, unless it was stuff that we gave away. So that was out of our personal stash of signed autographed items or anything else that we've given away over the years. But this is something that's extremely cool, one of a kind thing. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. So make sure you check that out. Also, check us out on PSF. Download the app. We're going to be doing game day play-by-plays. I guess they asked me to do all 17 games in the postseason, so that's what I'm going to be doing along with these shows. And we're going to have guest hosts. All of us are going to guest host on this. We're going to have former pro players on. We're going to have NFL analysts on. This is a Sean Salisbury creation. He asked us to do it exclusively for the Chiefs, and that's what we're doing. So make sure you check it out and enjoy, because it's going to be a lot of fun. We start that week 1. But if you go onto your phones now, just type in PSF in your app store, download it, and then go to Chiefs Fans, and then follow Chiefs Fans and follow us on that page, and you're going to get all the live streams for the games, all 17 weeks, and the postseason. With that being said, I don't know what else we got, man.
We pretty much covered everything.
Anybody got any questions? Anybody got any questions before we get off here? If you don't, that's okay, because we're always on Twitter. We're always on something you can ask us then. But don't worry about anything. We're still the same football team. We're just making moves.
That's everything will work out.
It always does, especially for us right now. We're in the gold. We're in that mode right now, man. We're in that era that it's like, no matter what we do it right. So let's just remember that, and we're going to be okay.
Exactly.
It's not going to last forever, so be happy with what you got. With that being said, we will talk to you guys again on Thursday. Oh, by the way, we will have one of the owners from the NFT company that is actually partners with Patrick Mahomes on the show Thursday to go over all of this and to speak about exactly what these are, and maybe he can explain it a little bit better as well. So with that being said, we will talk to you guys on Thursday with a guest. Peace out, everybody.
See ya.